Yeah, we're live.
Hi, Dr. Mark here for Natural Health. Hope you're having a great day. We're talking tonight about breathing, as you can see on the TV here. And again, just to let you know why we're important, why we think that's important, as we've been here for almost 40 years now with Natural Health Chiropractic Center with nutrition, and looking at more of a holistic approach to the body and an organic approach. We want to work with nature and with how the body is meant to work. We're not trying to supersede the body's autonomic nervous system with medication and interventions and then treatments. We're trying to help the body to be well. So breathing is one of those things that people take for granted, but they don't often do it very well. So what I mean by that is a lot of times people really get anxious and they don't breathe deeply. They start going kind of shallow breaths, or like when you're talking. A good example of that is if you get up in front of an audience and you're real nervous about it, well, you actually stop breathing. You're just standing up there, kind of just not breathing. Pretty soon you're getting lightheaded and all kinds of things. And it has to do with breathing and really understanding how breathing works. Dr. Chip's going to get into the neurology of it in a little while, but I'm going to talk to you some about the just a technique, of a good technique for calm breathing. So the idea here is just to keep the tongue on the top of the mouth, just behind the front teeth, so that you can get a good breath in. And you're going to breathe in through the nose. So with this exercise, you will breathe in through the nose quietly and out through the mouth. The idea there is wanting to breathe in the air through the sinus passages, which helps to humidify the air, which makes it easier for the lungs to absorb the oxygen and transpire the CO2. We also, when you breathe through the nose, your nose and the sinuses up there, the adenoids, the lymph glands up there, help to filter out all the things that are in the air, like viruses and pollen and things like that. Now in our office, we look at the sinuses as being an overload for the liver. If the liver is already toxic and too loaded, the lymphatics back up to the sinuses, and the sinuses are inflamed and irritated, and so when you're breathing in, you're just getting more and more gunk up there. The body can't get rid of it, so you have drippy nose, everything's full, hard to get it all out. So this technique is meant to help people to get that working correctly. So the beginning part is breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. So you inhale through the nose for a count of 4, hold the breath for a count of 7, and exhale through the mouth for a count of 8. So you're kind of blowing it out. So you're blowing out your frustrations, you're blowing out all the carbon dioxide, you're blowing out all of the, even the viruses and things your body wants to get rid of. And if you've had vaccines, you're blowing out the bugs that you've vaccinated. There's all kinds of things your body's getting rid of with your breath. Your lungs are meant to be a good detoxifying agent if the system's working correctly. Now again, if the liver's all full, if your lungs are half full of fluid because you have congestive heart failure, if you have all kinds of issues like that, the lungs don't work very well. So the idea of that is not to take prednisone and stop that from bothering. It's to get the body to work correctly so it can keep all these normal functions working right, like breathing. So again, you just do this for, I think I have it up here, 4 times a day. Do 4 breathing cycles, this pattern per day. And you can do it even at night in bed or in the morning when you wake up. Just any time throughout the day, especially if you notice you're being stressed. And another good time to do this is before you eat. We've had patients come in here who have a lot of problem with indigestion, and mainly because they're still doing this shallow breathing thing. They're all wound up tight. They're at work a lot of times, and they sit down real quick. They gobble down a sandwich and some fries and a soda or something, and then they go right back to work. Well, the body doesn't like that. That's not how your body's supposed to work for digestion. And the breathing, if you breathe before you eat a few times, really helps get your body into this pattern of calming down, getting a good blood supply and oxygen to the brain so that it can, do what it's supposed to do, so the nervous system can do what it's supposed to do. And you have to be in a state of parasympathetic dominance when you eat. Now, parasympathetic dominance is part of the autonomic nervous system, which Dr. Tripp will talk about here, I think. So it's just a matter of getting that system to work correctly for you so your body works right. And so breathing is a good way of doing that, getting the body to calm down. And people that are type A really have problems with that because they don't want to calm down. And if you had a bunch of coffee in the morning, you got yourself so wound up tight that you can't really sit I mean, that's the problem with all this. So breathing is a good way of getting the body back on track. And I wanted to make a little point about this too, since we've been having to wear these masks and all this stuff. And this is what's so hard for the kids. The kids are having problems with thinking because they can't get oxygen to the brain. It's bad enough for the adults, but the kids, especially if they have to wear them all day, it's just a crazy thing. And again, the kids have hardly any risk of the bug, but they're made to do this. And I can't understand why teachers and superintendents and school systems want to do this. I just don't understand it, because it has nothing to do with science of how the body works. It's got to do more, I think, with control of the kids. And so I hope parents out there take the time to go to your board meetings and really complain. If you want some good information, there's a lot of independent media sources out there. One of the best is the highwire.com. Dr. Del Bigtree has a lot of information there on masks and things. You can get that there. You can go to Dr. McCullough or McCullough.com and just type in masks, and there'll be all kinds of things there. If you want the actual science and understand how this works, I mean, there's been many studies done on mask wearing, and the medics have done this for years, and they know how it works. Even the doctors don't like to wear them, but they have to when you're doing surgery and things like that. They don't. The main reason to wear masks is you don't spit into whatever you're doing. So there's that. But otherwise, if you're a normal, healthy person, being spit on by somebody else really isn't a bad thing. You get their viruses, you pass them along, everybody gets inoculated. It's all part of the body's immune system fine-tuning. So it's really important to understand that the body works that way. We've been doing it for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So it's just this last year and a half we have to wear masks for some reasons. So anyway, that's probably enough of that. I appreciate your time here. Don't forget to, you can go on our website at naturalhealthquincy.com, and we have other videos there that explain more about the nutritional work that we do to help the body to get oxygen to the brain. There's a lot of several nutritional support products we have that people are having brain fog, and that can come a lot of times from not getting oxygen to the brain, and even some of the other problems going on right now with the vaccine itself, or the jab. Done the vaccine, it's an experimental gene therapy. So anyway, that's probably enough. I'll turn it over to Dr. Chip, and have a great rest of the day. Dr. Chip.
All right, thank you. All right, so again, I'm Dr. Chip, and again, we're going to keep continuing this topic on breathing. Now, of course, Dr. Mark was kind of saying how he does, or we kind of are more aware of how the body works as a whole, our health, our well-being, and how breathing is so important. And that's why this kind of topic on wearing masks and all that can be a little controversial. Of course, people are kind of, you would say, obligated to wear them at times, but again, now we need to kind of consider the health aspects of these different circumstances here. So again, breathing is always important. Of course, when we think about our health and well-being and what we consume in our bodies, typically we think about food and water. Food, again, great. We can probably live about a week if we really stretch it out pretty far here without food. You could say about 3 days really getting stretched out again without water, but we never really kind of contemplate more on our breathing, and that's about 3 minutes. If for a lot of people, if you are good at it, maybe you can, underwater diving and all that, better, people are better at it than others, but again, breathing, that's why that's so important. And so again, here's some fun facts about breathing and why it can be so beneficial for us. And so it says, we inhale 2 million liters of air per day. Within seconds of our breath, it's transported to every cell in our body. And again, can't live very long without it. And so if we actually contemplate and think about this, it's quite amazing what our breath is doing for us, and we take for granted that it's just, a part of life. Now again, of course, we are breathing all the time. If we had to think about our breath all the time, we really wouldn't be able to, you would say, live our lives freely, you would say. And so again, when we get to those states that we kind of catch ourselves not breathing like we should or we intend to, kind of in a normal state, kind of that long or the kind of a slow, steady diaphragmatic breathing, that is what but that's when we can actually catch ourselves and help train our bodies and our minds to be able to get in that state of taking that slow breath again and just being able to relax in that moment. And again, I go back to this a lot, but what is the stress that causes us to breathe in a certain way, or in a, you would say, a disharmony or incoherent way? And that is these three types of stress. Now again, the physical trauma, again, that can be anything from being in danger to where we can fall or we get hit, and that causes us to tense up and tighten up, and that causes our breath to not be, good anymore. Nutritional or chemical, again, if we were, to consume too many different things, or if we're not treating our bodies well with proper nutrients and you'd say getting chemically overloaded, then again our breath have to accommodate for all that too. And then again, emotional and thoughts, again, that is a big factor in all this too. And is that if we're not able to regulate those, then we have to be able to regulate our breath. Now the breath is important because, as we've stated many times before, it is what our autonomic nervous system kind of is using all the time, or you would say vice versa. Now we've talked about this too, is that when we're in these kind of high stress situations, more of it's called a sympathetic dominant state, that is when our breath is kind of more shallow and more uptight, you would say. When we're uptight, it means that our muscles are uptight. It's when we're kind of off our center, we're not relaxed, and we're wanting to either fight or flee or get away from something. And that's why when that happens, our blood gets all shunted to the bigger muscles, and it's ready for action, ready for fighting. And that's when our breathing gets very up or kind of out of our chest here, and that's okay for survival instances. It's trying to get that breath in really quick, and again, kind of getting our blood pressure up, and so that we can run or fight. But if we're stuck in that state, then that causes a dysregulation of other systems of our bodies, be it the digestive system, elimination, our nervous system, all those different systems that help us to relax or to, say, digest our food or regulate the systems better that way. And that's why we want to be able to kind of transition into more of our parasympathetic state, our rest and digest. And so it's not that we want to stay in one state or the other, it's more of that we are able to regulate our systems better. Again, we wouldn't want to be in this state or rest and digest if we were getting chased by a tiger. That would be very, very bad in that situation, or it would go against our survival nature. But also too is that if we're stuck in this state trying to digest food, we can't break down the foods properly, we can't build up our tissues, and that is not appropriate for getting valuable nutrients in our bodies there too. So let's go ahead and keep going. Now here's a diagram of the brain and the lungs here. And as Dr. Mark explained too, is that our lungs are big at detoxifying the blood. It's able to clean the blood out too. You could think of the oxygen coming in and carbon dioxide coming out as a filtering system, and that the blood in our bodies, it travels all the way around our bodies, but it has to go through the lungs in order to clean itself out, to get oxygenated, like Dr. Mark explained, so that it's able to go back through the systems again to where it can reach all the cells and everything of our bodies. But again, as we've said before, is that if we have too much stress on our brains, if we're getting, you would say, bogged down by all the stuff happening and different things, if we're not having fun once in a while, if we're not having a little recreation in our lives, if we're thinking way too much about everything, if we're kind of overanalyzing everything, every little situation, every detail, then that puts us more in that sympathetic state, which affects our breathing. And so again, when we can realize that at that moment and kind of rest our awareness or attention on our breath, that helps to, you would say, slow the mind down, which helps to regulate these systems properly. And again, so Dr. Mark explained the technique there. Just again, some kind of topics or key points here is that breathing is important to get oxygen to the body. Breathing is important for our focus. Again, it's not that we have to keep our focus on our breath all the time, but when we are in states that are causing a lot of stress on our bodies, when we place our focus on our breath, we're able to kind of regulate our systems properly so that we're able to conduct our lives better. And again, slow and steady wins the race. So when we are able to bring attention on our breath, more of a slow, steady rhythm or nature is important. We're able to actually control and regulate them very well. Diaphragm, this is meaning is that the muscles that are controlling the kind of lungs, helping to bring the air all the way down into our belly area there, you would say, is important. A lot of times if we're getting too caught up here, we're not getting that muscle worked out more. And again, as you don't use that muscle, you kind of lose that muscle. So it's always good to help you regulate yourself or even use that diaphragm if needed. Now your body uses the diaphragm when it's not stressed out. It knows how to breathe, but when we get caught up too much in that stressful response, like we said, if we're getting too analytical or too carried away on different things, our brain is actually going through a different wave pattern. There's a lot more research on that, but that's what we're saying here too, is that when we're able to get back to that breath, we're actually helping to slow down our mind, slowing down our breath, and able to help our bodies to regulate better. And then intention. Again, what is your intention is to help your body to regulate better, or it can be a lot of different things, but overall is that if we intend to focus on the breath, quiet the mind a little bit, and kind of let go of all the different frustrations or different things that are happening just for a moment there, it helps, again, to regulate our systems better. So I think that is it. Again, that's it for us here today. You can always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Parler, Brighteon, and YouTube at Natural Health Quincy IL. Our website is naturalhealthquincy.com. You can always subscribe to our email list. We are located at 2000 Jefferson Street in Quincy, Illinois, and the number is 217-228-2040. Thank you so much for watching. Again, we're always trying to help other people just by sharing information. Again, this is not difficult information. This is valuable information that you can even help yourselves now or later on. But again, we're always trying to help bring more health awareness to people, and so that they can not only help others but empower themselves. So thank you very much, and have a great night. Thanks.
Think about that. You're on.